you should keep learning till you die. And it doesn't matter whether it's in a book or you start learning it from other people. It doesn't matter if it's in business, if it's in life. I mean, it could be health and nutrition. It does not matter what it is. You have to keep learning. The moment that you stay stagnant, the moment that you don't know about something, if you're going to buy a house, learn about real estate, learn about mortgages, learn about how to close, learn about, what the difference between a foreclosure is, a short sale, what type of financing there is. Are you getting a fixed rate? Are you getting a variable rate? All this stuff you should know. Hey guys, welcome back to In for the Kill podcast. This is episode number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For anybody who couldn't see that, watch the YouTube video. I had to actually count. And I practiced this a few times just so you guys know too. So just so I wouldn't mess it up. But yeah, so on this episode, I don't have a co-host. I don't have a guest. So I actually just want to let you guys know a few things that I kind of wish somebody had told me maybe a few years back when I was starting. Just things that I know now that have kind of made me the person that I am. I feel that a lot of it is kind of like a learning experience. Without the right people in your life, you tend to kind of just play this guessing game as you go, and you tend to fail a lot, and that's really part of it. You do have to fail, but sometimes you have somebody in your life that tells you something that sticks with you. And that's what it's really all about, is just knowing how to kind of cut through that. And that's how you become successful a lot of the times, is you cut through all that noise and you listen to one person or one thing, and it just ends up making so much sense inside of your brain that it gets you to that next level or where you want to be. So the first one for me, I had searched for this a very, very long time, and I had always wanted a mentor. And I always thought that I had to have a physical mentor in front of me in order for me to really get somewhere, so that way I had somebody who was kind of talking in my ear, and if I needed advice, I would go to them. But recently I found that YouTube helped me more than actual physical mentors did. And with this, it's that you have to be a little bit more proactive. You have to know exactly what you're looking for. But when I first started my journey, I think I started going on YouTube and I looked for motivation. I was just looking for motivation, and there was all these videos that would come up. And for me personally, what works is I don't want to hear somebody tell me, hey, you got to get motivated, you got to get motivated, you got to get motivated. And they're really calm, because who the hell's going to get motivated truly from somebody who's in the same monotone? You got to be motivated. It's so important, So what ended up working for me is I found the right people that would motivate me based on their stories, based on their hardships. If it really felt like they almost broke through the process, then it would hit me in a different way than the people that were very, very monotone. And the first person that I can remember listening to that did that for me was Les Brown. And Les Brown is still going to this day, but the story that he has really hasn't changed through this time. And it's always been that he he had a very humble beginning with his mother and his twin brother, and they actually thought that he was educable, mentally retarded. But even then, there's this video that I saw where he was talking in like a crowd of thousands and thousands of people, and I was like, wow, this guy made it. And I couldn't imagine what that feeling would feel like, but the way that he talked and the way that he made it seem like really anybody could live that dream, it stuck with me. It really, really stuck with me. And then the next person that I kind of started getting into was Eric Thomas. And Eric Thomas, if you ever listen to this, or if I can get your attention, I would love to have you on my podcast, because what you have done for me, yeah, you guys really should check him out. He is so comfortable in his own skin. I believe he wakes up at like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. He gets very, very little sleep. And his thing, you guys might have actually seen some of his videos if you're into like the motivation kind of thing and like pushing past, because he's the one that says when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
He told the guy, he said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Do you understand it is the difficulty that's going to prepare you and take you to that next level? Why do you keep crying? Why me, God? Why did I get MS? Why did I get cancer? Why did my mama die? Why did I get fired? Do you understand? Listen, you got through that. You got put through that because what that does, that tension produces greatness. Stop running from it and run to it.
And he projected upward because of that video that actually went viral. But that sticks with you when you hear something like that, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. And I was listening to him actually the other day, and he came up with something new that said like, hey, the reason that I don't say when you want to succeed as bad as you want to eat, because you can go so many days without eating. And if I said, hey, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to drink water, you can still go a few days without water. But when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, that breath is it's every single day, it's every single second. So Eric, he's a little more on the aggressive side. Like once you actually start seeing his videos, I mean, he gets you motivated in a way that you can't really like explain. He's tough on you, and it's like tough love, and he makes you realize that like, you know, you're not doing enough. You're not pushing hard enough.
You need a sound mind. Stop doubting yourself. All right? You matter. You are unique. You are special. You are gifted. You are talented. You are gifted. You are talented. You smart enough. Don't let nobody tell you you're not supposed to be here. You here. Don't nobody tell you you're not supposed to be here. You here. You still listen to that foolishness, girl. It's hard. You are here. The hard part is over. You are in the game. Now I need you to do something while you're here. And you have what it takes or you would not be here.
So check him out. There's a lot of great videos. Something that I would say for YouTube that really works for me is I try to stick with the videos that are like 2 minutes to 6 minutes, and I watch a few of them because usually they have the music that's going to amp you up, and it's going to connect like different types of feelings when you're talking, when you hear people talking. You might not always connect it, but when you have music going in the background, it kind of like amps you up, it hypes you up in a different way. So that's really worked for me. It's worked wonders for me. So with Les Brown, I got the idea that I could do anything. With Eric Thomas, I got the idea that, you know, you can do so much more, and that you should really be pushing yourself. And he said that he was actually homeless at some point, eating out of trash cans. And just one last thing with him, he said, if I was eating out of trash cans, I had no business eating out of trash cans. But if I could do it, why aren't you doing it? Right? You're gonna let me, a guy that was eating out of trash can, you're gonna let me outdo you? So when he said that, I was like, he's right. You know, it's not even a thing about making him look bad. It's about a thing that I have better circumstances. I'm blessed to have better circumstances. Why am I not trying my hardest? So I got that from Eric. A few others just to kind of mention quickly, and I'll kind of just talk about what I got from them is Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is wisdom. That's the easiest way that I can say it. Jim Rohn is wisdom. If you're trying to get to be more wise, if you want to be more mature with the way that you think and the way that you are, Jim Rohn is wisdom. I can't stress that enough. You will learn things from him by like just following him more than you will from anyone else, because he was trying to create better people. Once you actually listen to him, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. You got Grant Cardone, you got 10X. I mean, we talk about him a lot. I actually have his bracelet on right here. When I started really focusing on him, he was the one that actually allowed me, it gave me permission to kind of, be myself, because I'm very, very obsessive with things. I don't let go of things. Whenever I'm thinking of a project, usually that's all that I'm thinking about. And everybody always told me, you got to take it easy, and that's not the way that life is, and life is to be enjoyed, and it's not all about money. And Grant was the complete opposite of that. He was, the 10X guy. Do 10 times more, you'll get 10 times more.
Doing less has never solved my problems. Doing less, moderation, has never solved a problem for me. Every decision you make is one of, we're going to expand or we're going to contract. That's the basic premise of the 10X rule.
And that gave me the permission. The word that I was looking for was permission. It gave me the permission to be who I always wanted to be. And I've been so much happier ever since I actually just trusted myself to be that person. So Bradley, he's a little bit newer for me. I want to say he's about 8 months, but if you look up Brad, just know he's going to be dropping bombs, and some of them are going to be bleeped out. So it is a little bit more on the mature side, but they call him the real Bradley. He calls himself the real Bradley, and he's the real deal. I mean, he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to tell you exactly how it is. He's helped me out a lot when I want to go visit him in Vegas. I mean, just the fact that he took the time to talk to me and he gave me some solid business advice, it opened up my mind. So thank you, Brad. And finally, Dan Pena. This one is a brand new one to me, and this is somebody that I do consider a mentor. And he is tough as nails.
She'd say, my daddy treats everybody the same, like shit.
Question on the test, paraphrasing it. What would you do if somebody spit in your wife's face? And the answers range from, well, I try to ascertain what kind of day he was having. And if he had a bad day, I try to be understanding. Are you fucking shitting me? I'd be in prison for murder. I would beat the guy to death. Or if I couldn't beat him to death, I'd find somebody in a pipe to beat him to death.
I mean, he will make you cringe of the stuff he says, and he likes to cuss, and he is old school, and I don't know what I'm gonna do when I meet him. You know, if you guys are interested in seeing, there's this video where he starts cussing at the mentorees that he has. He brings them over to his castle because he's from England, I believe, but he's cussing at them. And at the end of the video, the guy goes, "Thank you." And he goes, "Don't thank me, you freaking idiot. You have no idea what you're saying."
I love this job. Let's go eat. We had enough good times. There's no questions. Don't thank me, moron. You have no idea what the fuck you're saying.
And these people pay, I think, like 20 to 25 grand to go see him, and he's there, you know, like insulting them, and then they say thank you, and then he says, "Don't freaking insult me. You have no idea what you're saying, you idiot." So he's tough. He's definitely very, very tough. I like those type of mentors. Every mentor is going to be different, and every single type of person that you meet is going to be different. Eventually, you will meet somebody in person, but don't think that there's anything wrong with, doing something like YouTube, doing something where they might not necessarily be in front of you, but you're able to actually still connect with them, and then save those videos so that you can go back and try to memorize them. So like if you're having a day where you're having issues with like motivation, or maybe you just don't know how to close and you're having a problem in sales where you're trying to close, you go back to those videos where they say, hey, you're going to be doing it this way. Stop being, you need to be more aggressive, don't quit. It depends on what your day looks like, and you go back to those, and it's almost the same thing as having a mentor. And then, so the next thing that I kind of wanted to go into is that you only know what you know. And the problem with that is if you never go out and expand your actual mind, then you'll never really be able to pick anything new out of your brain. So you always keep making the same mistakes. There's a quote that I'm thinking about that says insanity is basically doing the same thing over and over, and you expect different results. And that's really what you only know what you know gets you. So you have to go out and look for new information. And that's actually one of the biggest things that changed my life, was when I actually started to go out and look for new knowledge. And I recently went to conferences, but the thing that actually started that journey for me was that I started to read books. And when I started to read books, again, everybody's different in how they do things, but what worked for me was I started to do Audible, because every time that I would sit down and read a book, I noticed that it took too much effort. And it's not that I'm against like trying things that are hard, but when you sit down and read a book, you actually have to sit down and look at the book, open it, concentrate. There's nothing else that you can do. You can't, like, I've seen people do this where they're walking around, and they're reading a book. I'm like, how the f- are you doing that? I have no idea how you'd be able to kind of walk and keep up and still have to try to kind of focus on not falling down and then read a book and understand what happened, right? Maybe you could do it with fiction. I don't know. I've never tried it before. But all I know is that I have a hard enough time as it is walking without having to read a freaking book and trying to memorize that stuff. So, but the point of it is that it's too time consuming. It takes too much mental capacity. So I started looking into different things, and I got into Audible. And Audible's, man, that was a lifesaver. Once I started getting into Audible, I could take all the mundane tasks that I had, which provided no value, right? And the tasks that do, you got to think about like cleaning. Right? Cleaning is necessary, but honestly, you probably shouldn't be doing it. At some point you should be paying someone else, because that's when you start valuing your time too much, to where you think like, hey, if I'm actually cleaning, I could be doing something that's more important, so why am I actually using my time to clean? You don't get that time back. Okay, so the mundane tasks like cleaning, driving to work, long drives. I travel for work, so whenever I would be driving and visiting customers, or I'd be driving to the airport, I would throw on Audible. And because of that, I think it was last year, I read 52 books. Read, quotations for everybody who's listening, because technically you're getting them read to you. But when you start listening to enough books, it almost becomes like background noise, to where you're able to concentrate on two different things, and you're able to pick it up. And I became very forgiving with myself, to not think like, oh my god, I'm listening to these books and I gotta pick up every single thing. Instead, what I did is I realized that my subconscious is there, and I'm able to pick up a lot of stuff just by having it play in the background. I mean, they do studies on this where you're able to fall asleep, and then there's stuff that gets picked up while you're sleeping. So it's like, if that's the case, why am I not being able to pick up stuff when I'm washing the dishes? So I'd be washing the dishes, I'd be listening to this book. And I think that the way I go by math. So I thought, hey, if I listen to a book, 15 minutes a day, that is an hour and 15 minutes every 5 days. And if I take a break on the weekends, because sometimes the weekends I wasn't as consistent, that's about an hour and 15. That's about so that's about 5 hours every month. So then I started thinking, like, most books are about 6 to 8 hours. So now if I increase my time and I double that to 30 minutes per day, then at that point I could be reading about 8 hours a month, and then I could finish one book a month, and that was 12 books. So once I started doing that, I was like, man, I could double that then, or I could even spend more time on the weekends. If I spend 1 hour on Saturday and Sunday, so 2 hours on both those days, then that's 8 hours. That's one book on just the weekends. So I started kind of just burning through books at this point. That's how I got to the 52, is because I became so obsessed with it that all I wanted to do was just read these books. And that's how I first found out about Grant Cardone, about his 10x rule. That's how I found out about Jim Rohn. I kind of knew about him, but he had this book that was like a 12-hour book. But I found out about Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar was a big one. And if anybody's in sales and you haven't read about Zig Ziglar, some of the stuff might not be as relevant. But as everyone knows, whenever you're learning something, there's fundamentals. There's fundamentals that you have to kind of derive from, and then you kind of tweak them and make them your own. Zig Ziglar, I feel maybe there was someone before and I just don't know about him, but I almost feel like Zig Ziglar was the one that kind of pioneered the fundamentals to kind of expand and go out. Think and Grow Rich was actually the first book that I ever read in Audible, and then I had to reread it, because there are some things in there that I would have never known about. And it's little things that you notice through your life. And I'm gonna wrap up on this snippet of why it's important. But like you know that people's names are important, right? But this book ended up saying, hey, the most important thing to anyone is their name. Like, you can forget somebody's spouse's name and you can say, hey, I can't remember your spouse's name. What was her name? And they'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. It's Jen, or it's like, it's Crystal. Don't worry about it. Like, it could be anything, right? But if you forget that person's name and you're like, oh man, geez, I can't remember your name, and they might be like, oh, it's fine, but in the back of their head, they're like, wow, this guy, I can't believe he forgot my name. How can you forget my name? We do all this stuff together. Or if it's a customer or client and you forget their name, they just don't think that they're important. So they'll probably go with the guy who actually did remember the name. So Audible was such a gem for me as I started this, because there were so many ways that I could find new knowledge without having to actually go and pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get it from people that I didn't know. Instead, I could buy a book. It was $20 maybe, and at the end of the day, if I didn't like the book, it was $20. And most people end up seeing a book as $20 instead of seeing that the books that I actually read have gotten me to where I'm at, and they've probably gotten me salary increases of like $20,000 or more. And it was just because of these books that cost $20. So Audible is very, very important, people. Reading books is very, very important. Once you get out of high school and maybe you go to college, but most people stop learning at that point. Most people think that just because you got to that point, you don't have to focus on learning anymore, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. You should keep learning till you die. And it doesn't matter whether it's in a book or you start learning it from other people. It doesn't matter if it's in business, if it's in life. I mean, it could be health and nutrition. It does not matter what it is. You have to keep learning. The moment that you stay stagnant, the moment that you don't know about something, if you're going to buy a house, learn about real estate, learn about mortgages, learn about how to close, learn about, what the difference between a foreclosure is, a short sale, what type of financing there is. Are you getting a fixed rate? Are you getting a variable rate? All this stuff you should know. And you have enough time on this planet. Stop watching TV. Get a book, learn, find someone, go on YouTube, learn. Not everything in his life is meant for entertainment. At some point you really have to get to learn these things. So the next thing is you're gonna want to learn your mistakes from others. Now you can make your own mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making your own mistakes because that's the best way to learn. The best way to learn is to know that you messed something up, have it impact you, have it hurt so bad that you know you're never gonna do it again. When you do it that way, the mistake and the lesson stays with you. But it does not mean that you have to make the same mistake or even make a mistake that you don't have to make, okay? And the way that you prevent that is you look at what other people have done, right? So if you're trying to go to Mars, that's the first example that came to my head. But if you're trying to go to Mars, and who do you look to? You look to Elon Musk, man. The guy's he's basically paved the path for you, right? So if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, all you have to do is look and go to the direct path that somebody has already made for you. There's steps. You create a business. You get a tax person to make sure that you don't get royally screwed at the end of the year. You start getting customers. You have to market your business, and it's all in steps. It's all in steps. That most people that are in some sort of a level above kind of what everybody else is at, the 1%ers that they call them, they have mentors, right? So why wouldn't we have mentors? The rich stay rich and they get richer because they know things that we don't. So if they know things that we don't, that means that they've made mistakes that we have yet to make, right? And if they've made those mistakes, then there is absolutely no reason for you to go and have to recreate that. That's the best part of this all. That's the beauty of it. You can get away with so much in such little time because you can streamline your process by just studying people. You can study the greats, and you can find out what they do, and you can find out what works. So there's actually one example that I always think of, and I don't know off the top of my head if this is maybe how it is, but the way that I see these two people from two different time zones and eras, I'm almost positive that this second person took inspiration from person one. And when you look at Muhammad Ali would always say, "I am the greatest," and he would say it, and he would say, apparently he said it before anybody believed that he was the best. But then you have someone like Kanye, right? And Kanye would do the same things. He would say he's the best. He would, we all remember the time he interrupted Taylor Swift in the VMAs. And I'm gonna let you, but it was because it was about him, right? It was all about him, and he had this ego about him, but it just reminded me so much of the way that Muhammad Ali was. And I'm not talking maybe about mistakes, but even then, what he did, a lot of people didn't like, but he learned from this guy. And whatever mistakes Muhammad Ali had made, by the gloating, by getting to where he was, if Kanye really was looking at him, I'm sure he saw all the stuff that didn't work for him, and then he basically said, okay, well, if all this stuff didn't work for him, then let me just get the stuff that did work for him, like claiming that you're the best, and let me go ahead and stick with that, right? But if you notice, Kanye had this ego about him, but he could also back it up. And with Cassius Clay, with Muhammad Ali, it was the same. So you always got to learn, and you always got to know what works. Don't follow the mistakes. Don't follow the mistakes. Look at what actually does work, follow that, and then just basically copy it. It really is that easy. Like, most people think that life is this really complex thing, that it's got to be so hard, and making money, especially money, oh my goodness, everybody has such a hard time talking about money. But making money is really not that hard. I mean, you provide value, you get a service, you can charge people more money, you can make more money by getting a second job. And then once you have that money, don't put it in the bank, put it somewhere that you can actually have it basically multiply. I don't know, real estate, there's even bonds and everything, which is, to me, it's not that great, because the return is so small once you have like millions of dollars, and you can use bonds, and then it starts, growing over time. But, stock market, super risky, but hey, there's returns in it. It just depends on what you're doing. But if you put your money in the bank, the money's sitting there. 0.0012% is what you're getting in your savings account. Unless you have it in a high yield savings, which most people don't. Your regular savings account at your bank is too low to even make any money on. So get your bank money, put it to work, learn from the mistakes of others. And then this is a recent one that I actually learned, and that's that you wanna make connections. You wanna find people that you can connect with, that you can help. Make it about value. Make it about learning from them, giving them ideas. That talk big. If they've made it, they don't want to hear about your problems. They don't want to hear you ask them about their life over and over again, and ask for advice. Tell them about the big dreams you have. Tell them about the big dreams you have, and try to stay with them in their group as much as possible, because those are the people that are going to be able to really expand your mind even more than you already have. It's pretty much a mentor at this point. It's pretty much a different circle. The 5 people that you surround yourself with are the people that you pretty much determines what you're worth. It was Les Brown, actually. Les Brown said, if you want to soar with eagles, you can't be hanging around with pigeons. If you want to soar with eagles, you got to hang around with eagles, right? So once you have these connections, once you have a mentor, somebody who's willing to kind of take you under their wing and show you what life is really about, provide them value. Go to the events, go to the conferences, try to find more people, connect with people, give them value. Don't just always try to take from them and say, hey, what can you tell me? How can you help me? Instead, just, connect with people. Social media is meant for connecting, and so much people nowadays, they just go ahead and they swipe, they scroll up. On Facebook, everybody says, oh, Facebook is dying and all this stuff, but all they do is like pictures. And even then, people really aren't even liking things on Facebook anymore. They're scrolling and they're going through videos and they're just saying it's dead, not realizing that the people that you have on there, the ones that you connected with, your friends, your family, the people you went to high school with, they're still on there, they're still posting, and you're just not giving them attention. You're just scrolling and saying. So connect with people, give them value. If somebody posts, or if somebody texts you and it's about something that's interesting, give them props. Give them props. Tell them congratulations. Try leaving more comments, try connecting, and just try to be more of a person that actually understands why we're here on this earth. We're here to live, to socialize, and so that's pretty much what I can say. Those are the biggest things that if I had learned those at the age of 20, if I had paid more attention, if I knew who to talk to and what I should be doing, maybe by age 22 I would be where I'm at by 28. So I really want to I want to give my appreciation to the people that have given me support to this moment. There's a lot of people that are still they believe in me, they believe in what I'm doing, and for those people, I actually do want to say that hopefully you are listening to this, that I'm able to do something and provide value to you. And I'll catch you on the next episode. This was episode 7. Episode 8 we're actually going to be doing at the beach tomorrow, which will be really cool. Don't miss that one. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a live podcast at the beach, so we're going to be doing something different. I'll catch you guys on the next one.